This is a story of a young man terribly deprived of vitamin N and how he decides to end it all. The son that they protected from everything became the very thing that ended up breaking them. Yesterday's mistakes. This is love that knows no bound. Love that knows that has no boundaries. But why did all of this happen, you may ask? How comes? Why did a boy turn out like that? Well, this is a boy that was born to a family of parents that was previously married to different people, and they all had children, but the children, none of them had their children with them. So he was the only one that was born to his parents in their own home. He was their only child that they had together. So the couple all had their children, but the children were living with their spouses because they had both divorced. So this boy was the only one, was the only child that they had together. And so because they had him in their late years, they decided to spoil him. They gave him everything he wanted. He just needed to cry and they would rush. He asked and they gave. He refused. Whatever he refused, they adjusted to his needs and his demand. So he was a kind of person that it was as if his wish was their command, as some people would say. Everything that he wanted, the parents they would be at his beck and call. Everything that he wanted, right from a very young age until he became a young adult, the parents gave him everything. They pampered him so much so that this boy will be sleeping on the bed in the night. That's around age 9 or 10. He will be sleeping on the bed and his blanket will fall. He will realize that his blanket has fallen off the bed and it's on the floor. And he will call from his room. He will shout and call his parents in their own room to come and pick the blanket and cover him. And the parents will rush and do it for him. Terribly deprived of vitamin N. So this is what happened. They took so much care of this boy, and of this boy. For them, it was love. For them, that was their own way of showing him love, by giving him everything that he wanted, by just providing him with all that he wanted or asked for. We're not saying that you should not provide for your children. Of course, as parents, you have to provide for your children. But it doesn't mean that you need to give everything that they ask for. At times, vitamin N is needed. And what is vitamin N, you may ask? Simply means saying no. Yeah, the moment you need to say no. Not because you don't love the child, or not because you don't have what the child is asking for, but because you want the child to learn that it's not everything that they want that they're going to have in life. But so these parents deprived this boy of vitamin N terribly. They never gave him vitamin N. They gave him everything that he wanted. And so the boy started gradually changing. As he was growing up, he took it as a right that he must have all what he wants. Naturally so, because that's how he was brought up. And so he started becoming even disrespectful to his teachers in school. And family members, when they came to visit, they noticed that the boy was becoming very rude. And they complained and said, this child, the way he's going, it's not good. He needs to change. But the parents gave excuses. As you know, he's just a little boy. He's going to grow. He will outgrow it. Don't worry. It's teenage tendency. When they will grow, he will change. All those excuses, no excuses that parents give when they want to cover up their children. So they never took any of the warning seriously. They never took any of the warning that people were giving, or the complaints that they were giving about this boy, that you're actually spoiling this boy. You're not letting him do anything in the house. You're doing everything for him, and everything he asks for, you just dish it out to him. He just needs to say, and it's there. He just needs to say, I need, before they already give it into him. So this is just how the boy grew, and then he started becoming nonchalant. He started becoming very aggressive in school. He was no longer paying attention to his teachers. He started failing his exams. Before you knew, he was hanging out with bad friends. And the parents were constantly receiving phone calls from policemen complaining that they've seen this boy here and there doing one crime or another. He would go to shops and steal, because he was always used to having what he wanted. Always having what he wanted. And that was the problem. Because the parents decided to give him everything that he needed, or even not even needed, everything that he wanted. They were always there to give it to him. And so he started involving himself in petty crimes here and there. And the father became gradually tired of it all. So one day, this boy asked his dad for money, and the dad said, no, I'm not going to give you money now. You're not going to have it. And he became very furious. What do you mean you're not going to give me money? What do you mean I'm going to do this? And he had a habit of breaking things. When they don't give him anything, he would just get angry and throw things and break things in the house because he was not used to hearing no. He believed it was actually his right to have whatever thing he demanded for. And so because of that, he threatened. He became something else. And I think there was even actually some suspicion that he was probably on some hard substance, because of the way he was behaving. And so the mother went to work one day, and it was a night shift that she did, and she came back in the morning and went to sleep, got up, make breakfast for this boy, maybe like towards afternoon, and remember, making breakfast, because that's something they're used to doing. By this time, he's already towards his late teens, almost in his early 20s, And she went, but they were still preparing breakfast for him. They were still going to fix his bed for him. They do everything for him. So the mother had just come back from work, and she had slept, and she went to make breakfast for him. And she went and knocked on his door to ask him to come and eat. And she knocked, nobody answered. She knocked again, nobody answered. And she opened the door, and lo and behold, the boy was there. He had unalived himself. Just because of the pressures of life, just because he was not used to receiving vitamin N. That was the only thing. He never received no. And so because of that, he felt, how could they refuse to give him what he wanted? So this is not a story about a bad child here. We're not saying this because to say this child was a bad child, no. But we just want parents to learn this is yesterday's mistake. You not giving boundaries to your children is not actually love. You are spoiling them. You are grooming up children that will grow up tomorrow, and they will not be able to take what society offers to them. So the lesson here is that as parents, we should be able to say no. As parents, we should set boundaries. There should be consequences. Whenever a child comes to you, there has to be some consequence. When a child does something wrong, not because you don't love the child, but because you want that child to grow up to be a better person tomorrow. Because the grievous mistake that a lot of parents do, they think that when you don't say no, when you give your child all what they want, it means that you actually love them. But that is not the way forward. If we want to bring up responsible adults, we must be able to give them vitamin N so that the structure you prepare today will be what will hold them tomorrow. And if you learn something new today, please put it in the comment. God bless.